person comes forward claiming to have first-hand knowledge in a case, you have to look at it a few different ways. First of all, you have to question the credibility of that person. Are they coming forward just because they want attention? Or do they genuinely know something? Or again, maybe they genuinely know something, but they also want attention. They want to be the person that knows the information and be recognised for that. Now, obviously, for us as content creators and viewers, it's not up to us to ascertain whether this person is a credible witness, but we can debate that. Personally, I think that when it comes to someone coming forward and making claims to have a close connection with someone involved in a case, that they should be questioned by law enforcement. And I think in Kylie's case, this is where there have been some failings. The things that I'm going to discuss today, to me, make me think that this individual should have been hauled in at some point in time and thoroughly questioned by law enforcement. But at the same time, we know that there seems to be this whole push to push this whole case under the rug, so why would you bother investigating properly? Now, when you're looking at someone who comes forward and claims to have knowledge of a case, one of the things you're going to consider is their connections. So if someone's like, yeah, I once knew this person and I heard a story, blah, 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 it's very vague. But when someone comes forward and says, my daughter is best friends with this person who is claiming to be the last person to see this missing child, then you would be amiss to not pay attention and question what they are saying. So obviously, yes, I'm talking about Meghan Cole again. This video is a remake again of one of my early videos, where this time I'm adding a narrative to the video. Now, we know the timeline of Meghan Cole coming forward. In the very early part of the case, when Kylie was still missing, she rang Icked Mel and said that she had all this knowledge because of how close her daughter was to Sammy, and that she'd had this first-hand conversation with Sammy all about the party, all about Kylie, yada yada. As time went on, she put herself forward in more and more live streams. Seems like someone would be running a live stream. She'd pop up in the comments section and be pushing for them to allow her to come up and have her say. As people started getting a little bit sick of that, she decided to create her own channel so she could have her say whenever she liked. She was, in those early days, determined to put out as much information as she could to try and clear Sammy's name. And she quite often said to people, or inferred, that she knew a heck of a lot about what happened in the case. As time went on, when people started to question things a little bit more, and they realised that she wasn't always putting out accurate information, she started being, well, if I knew these things, and then it came to a flat-out denial. I know nothing. Basically, I lied to you guys from the beginning, but I'm not going to outright admit that I lie. I'm just going to say I know nothing, and you guys have misinterpreted my words. So, going back over some of the things that she said early on, there are some very interesting things that she said, and I think these are things that we cannot dismiss outright. Like I said, I believe that this individual should actually be questioned by FBI or by law enforcement. and I believe that she has some important information relating to Kylie's case. My belief on this comes from the many, many slip-ups that she's made in these earlier conversations on other people's channels. Today, I'm going to look at a few statements that she made that to me scream guilty knowledge.
At the end of the day, they are kids, and they are not adults, and they make stupid decisions. And no matter how many times you say, I raise my kid differently, or I do this, or I do that, my kid would never do this, my kid would never do that. Don't bullshit yourself. Just don't.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
So that was a comment that she made on What's the Obsession, talking about teens and saying they make stupid decisions. And don't think that I raised my kid differently so they would never do that kind of thing. What I find really interesting about that is that in later conversations, she's talking about the teens and saying, well, I wouldn't raise my kids that way. And essentially she's saying here that she disapproves of parenting of these children. And yet here she's talking about, well, it doesn't matter how you raise your kids, they can still make bad decisions. This from someone who has tried to tell us that the kids did nothing wrong, that Sammy did nothing wrong, that the other teens did nothing wrong, that her children did nothing wrong because her children weren't there. To me, by saying at the end of the day, they are kids and they make stupid decisions, that to me sounds like someone trying to excuse a stupid decision. Yeah, they made a dumb decision, but they're just kids, so let's excuse them. Here, to me, it sounds like she is inferring that something did occur. Something did occur as a result of a stupid decision by one of the teens. Whether it was Sammy, one of the other teens, or one of her own children, who knows? But it certainly doesn't sound like someone saying, nothing happened, don't look here, Kylie just drove herself into the reservoir. Now, if this was a one-off statement, then maybe you could dismiss it as someone speaking out of their ass. But it wasn't a one-off statement.
Please respect these kids. Just respect them as, I know that they did it to Kylie or something happened to Kylie, but there's something after Kylie. These kids have to move on and have to live their lives, and not every one of them that you say these kids did it to Kylie. If there was 300 kids at the party, you can't say 300 kids had involvement in it.
The first time I heard that statement, I was flabbergasted. I know that they did it to Kylie. She knows that they did what to Kylie. She's like, please respect these kids because there's something after Kylie. These kids have to go on and live their lives. So she's basically saying that these kids are more important than the death of a child. She's essentially saying here that she knows that they did it to Kylie. That these kids are somehow culpable for Kylie's death. But that because they are just kids and they make dumb decisions, that, well, why ruin their lives when Kylie's already gone? Why not just let them go on to college and live their lives? Well, I can tell you exactly why. And that is because a 16-year-old girl lost her life. And if a teenager or a young adult or whatever they are was responsible for her death, then they need to face justice. Now, throughout all this, it's worth noting that she constantly referred to them as kids. And I think that was intentional. That was to downplay their culpability. They're just kids. They're just kids. They made a little mistake. Oops, somebody died. But hey, let's not ruin their lives. Let's just listen to it again.
Please respect these kids. Just respect them. As I know that they did it to Kylie, or something happened to Kylie, but there's something after Kylie. These kids have to move on and have to live their lives, and not every one of them that you say these kids did it to Kylie. If there's 300 kids at the party, you can't say 300 kids had involvement in it.
One of Meghan's patterns, if you've listened to the way she talks, is that when she does inadvertently slip up, she gets all flustered and she suddenly starts to stutter and pause, etc. And she did exactly that thing straight after she said, I know that they did it to Kylie. And then she gets all flustered and tries to talk her way out of it. So to me, this is a statement that we do need to, at the very least, not forget. And that's why I have made this video, to highlight this statement, because I think this is a statement that we should not forget.
I know that they did it to Kylie, or I know that they did it to Kylie, or I know that they did it to Kylie, or